Right, hi everyone. We've got a couple of people online watching, so welcome to our underfloor floor heating session with Coldbuster. I'm here in the office of Coldbuster, so I'll hand over to Rick in a moment. And yeah, we've got some information, lots of information to share with you tonight, including all the questions. People have submitted some great questions, so that is good. Rick's going to go through and answer all of those for you. And yeah, this is always a hot topic, pardon the pun, but also a great time tonight on this freezing night to sit here and talk about it, because those with it would be loving it in their home at the moment, and those without it would probably be missing it. So we've got, I can't see the please comment and let me know you're here, because I can't see, I can see that there's people there, but I can't see any comments at the moment. So give us a shout out so I know who is here. So I will introduce you to Rick now.
Hello everyone.
And he can tell you a little bit about himself and how Coldbuster came about, and then move through to helping you ladies know a lot more about floor heating.
Okay, so I'm Canadian. I came here in the early 90s as a backpacker and ended up getting married and sticking around. And I've run several businesses over the years. And a bit over 4.5 years ago, I was looking for a business to buy for the first time and knew nothing about floor heating, but this sort of came to my attention, and it ticked all the boxes I was looking for, the main one being enormous potential. And that remains the fact 4.5 years later. There is enormous potential. We're at the tip of the iceberg here as far as the opportunities with floor heating. And the reason is simple. Everyone knows about floor heating to some degree, and everyone who has an opinion about floor heating, or almost everyone, is a positive opinion. It's a great product. Yet, in most cases, people doing new builds or renovations with flooring, they don't think of floor heating at the time, or they don't bother getting quotes for floor heating because of certain misconceptions out there. Would you like me to address those now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the misconceptions, the main one being cost. It's floor heating, it's a luxury item, so it must be expensive. But that's just not the case. It used to be very expensive, but now it is just very reasonable cost, and that cost differential between the luxury image and the very reasonable cost is pure value add for the client. And I would suggest strongly and boldly that floor heating could very well be the best investment anyone can make in their property, in the whole building industry. Now that's a big call, but it's simple. That differential between luxury image and reasonable cost is enormous. And I give it examples, made up numbers, but nevertheless everyone agrees with the concept. You can do a small bathroom for as little as a few $100s, or a whole large house, $10,000, $20,000 floor heating everywhere. But when that house goes on the market eventually, whether it's next year or 20 years from now, and one of the attributes is floor heating throughout, that automatically tells the marketplace this is a luxury property. It's got floor heating everywhere. So spending that 10 or 20 grand could easily increase the value of the property by 50, 100 grand, say, just because of that change of image. It's now a luxury property. If it already was a luxury property, it further enhances that luxury image. And that increase in value is on top of paying excellent value for the best form of heating if you're doing floor work. If you're not doing floor work, then floor heating could be expensive because you have to rip up the floors. If you are doing floor work, though, it is a no-brainer. It beats every other type of heating.
Tune in on that. Sorry, I was just going to say that. Don't be scared off by that 10 or 20,000 that Rick mentioned there, because that's a whole house. So that's not just your bathroom.
Actually,
or yeah.
And I'll address that point now.
Yeah.
All our quotes. So what our aim is, in an ideal world, we would quote every floor of every project every new build and every renovation with floor work. Our quotes are all itemized room by room. So we're not quoting everything in sight because we expect to sell floor heating for every floor in Australia. But we do think it makes sense that everyone doing a floor should be able to consider floor heating on a room by room basis with the information necessary to make an informed decision. And that means the cost of each room on its own and the heat plan of each room on its own. So you see where it's going. So our goal is to quote every floor of every room so everyone can make a fully informed decision. The main reason is it's now or never by definition. Once your floor's down, you can't consider it anymore without enormous cost. So we want to quote so everyone can make an informed decision. Our attitude is that if you see the quote and then you decide against it, so be it. We're satisfied because you've made a fully informed decision. What we don't want is what we keep hearing over and over again from people, that they did floors, then they realize that usually they visit someone's house a year or two or even 5 years later, experience floor heating, and realize they missed out. Exactly, because they didn't think of it, and none of the trade, the builder, the architect, the electrician, the flooring guys, no one mentioned it to them. So floors went down and it's too late.
And just on that, that was my laundry. So I have it in my bathrooms and love it, but stupidly never even considered it for the laundry, and it's freezing underfloor in there. So don't just, and I've just had a question from Victoria. So we will, not Victoria, sorry, Michaela, about under timber and engineered floors. So Rick will definitely cover that as well for you.
You want to?
I'll
I'll address something else you touched on, and then I can address the different flooring. So one reason why we want to quote everything is it's a now or never proposition. Once your floors are down, it's too late. But secondly, we want to overcome a lot of misconceptions out there about floor heating. So floor heating has everything going for it. It is the best product. It is the best form of heating. It's the best value add. And I'm not overstating it, and I'd love for anyone to refute this. But there are misconceptions out there. And the misconceptions are, one, it's expensive to buy because it's a luxury item, but that's not the case. And that's why we want to get quotes out so everyone can see how reasonable it is. Second, it's expensive to run because it's electric floor heating. But again, it's not the case. There's several reasons why, the main one being the thermostats are so smart these days that you don't just program it when to turn on. No, you program it to tell it when you want a certain temperature. So it smartly works backwards to figure out what's the latest to turn on to get to your desired temperature or your desired time. Then while you want the heat, it's not running the whole time. It's on a duty cycle. So once it reaches your temperature, it turns off, and then it adjusts on and on as required. It might be on 50, 60, 70% of the time. Now we're finding more and more as people are getting solar energy that can largely offset running costs. And as batteries eventually become cheaper and more affordable over the next few years, as they're very expensive now, that could possibly even fully offset the running costs. So that's two main misconceptions. There's other ones such as it's just for bathrooms. No, not the case. Floor heating is meant to be the heat source for the room, not just to heat the floor and flat. In fact, I consider the actual heating of the floor as a bonus. In Canada, where I'm from, floor heating will not be enough to heat the room in the winter. But in Australia, in most cases, floor heating is the heat source for the room, and the actual floor heating is a bonus. Other misconceptions, it's just for bathrooms. No, it's just for under tile. No, it's for under tiles, timbers, vinyls, laminates, carpets, in the screed, in the slab, for polished concrete finish. There's probably a few I've missed.
That's all right. Maybe someone just asked about the polished concrete.
Okay,
Alexandra, so maybe if you talk about the different types.
Well, should we go downstairs and I can show them?
Yes, we're going to go on
You up for a road trip, everyone?
A bit of a journey downstairs. Because down here in the office.
You want me to bring your phone?
Yes, if you don't mind. Thanks, Rick. There's and I'm no expert, nor do I profess to be on underfloor heating. But as I said, there's always so many different questions in the group. And when I got here to the office, there's all the different types here on display. So then I'm assuming that Rick's going to mention, as we said, about carpet versus under tiles in screed. So
Okay.
just hold on to that bottom if you, hold it.
Okay. So, firstly, we have under tile floor heating. So it's a very thin element. I'll come a little closer. It's a very thin element. It's on a 50 centimeter wide mesh, and it zigzags back and forth. It goes directly under the tile, and then you put the tile adhesive on top. It's also suitable for under timbers, vinyls, laminates. There we go.
That's all right,
So I had it crooked. And like I said, it's directly under the floor surface.
So that's quick to heat up.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
The closest to the floor surface it is, the fastest it'll heat the floor and then heat the room.
Okay.
Okay. So 50 centimeter wide strips. When you get to the end, you want to flip it over. You cut the mesh, never the cable, and then you continue. You can go around little things in the floor. It's essentially one long, very thin cable, and it's in 50 centimeter wide for convenience, obviously, to lay up.
And just on that, so I know a lot of people ask about running it up the wall. So
yes,
I don't have, just mention this, I don't have heated towel rails, and I don't find we need heated towel rails because I feel that the floor dries my towels, but I don't actually have it going up the wall. But people say, can I run it up the wall instead of...
So absolutely you can, and in fact, until recently, we weren't really promoting it, but we've had so many inquiries that now whenever we do a quote, we put in our email about if you want it up the wall as well, we can do that. And more people are taking it up. It makes a lot of sense. It heats whatever's against the wall. So
because heated towel rails aren't cheap either. They can, be $600-700.
Yeah. And again, you're already heating the floor. To extend it up the wall is not that much more because the cost differential in heater sizes is very low.
Yeah.
So you're going at probably 1 or 2 heater sizes.
Yeah.
And it's so again, this is for under timbers, vinyls, laminates as well.
Okay.
Then we have under carpet. And this is another misconception I forgot about before. Some people think it's just for tile.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's for carpet as well because it's meant to heat the room.
Yeah.
So it's again very thin. It's like 1 or 2 millimeters. Goes between the underlay and the carpet. Okay, and again it's a 50 centimeter wide mesh, and then we tape it with conductive tape. Okay, in the screed. So this goes on the slab. In the dry areas, we use fixing rails and we nail them in the slab, and then fix the long, loose, thicker cable, and we can vary the distance between the cables as well.
So why would we do in screed versus...
Okay, so the difference between, usually it's between like in screed and under tile. So the under tile, because it's closer to the surface, will heat up quicker and is that little bit more efficient. The in screed will heat up the screed layer and then the floor and then the room. So it will take a bit longer, but on the positive side, because it's heated up the screed, once it's turned off, that screed has some heat in it, will gradually release. Okay. So sometimes it comes down to when the builder wants to do it. I don't say one is better than the other, but I would say if it's my home, I would go directly under the floor, whether it's under tile or under carpet. Yeah. Just because it's closer to the surface, it's that little bit more quicker. Yeah. But it's a tiny bit more cost as well, but it's not huge at all. Okay. So like I was saying, dry areas we use these. Wet areas, because of the waterproofing, we use like hot glue or tape, cloth tape to keep it to the floor. And then we have in slab. And there's 2 ways to do it: above the fixing rail or below the fixing rail. But essentially, it's usually for polished concrete finish. Obviously, there's no other flooring involved. Yeah. Or if people really want to take advantage of this free solar energy during the day, warm up the slab, and then in the evening the slab can you turn off the heat, the heat, and the slab will gradually release the heat on its own, and then you may have to top it up later, if, depending on the situation. Okay. So that's... And then this is just we also have a product. If there's a lack of information about floor heating, there's even more lack of information about mirror demisters. A lot of people don't even know they exist.
Oh.
Essentially, they're extra thin
Oh.
floor heaters on the back of mirrors.
Oh.
And what they do, obviously, is they prevent the mirror fogging up during a shower. They're very cheap. They're half price when we sell them with floor heater and thermostat for a bathroom. They're half price, so there's as little as $30.
Yeah, wow.
And the electrician just connects them either to the floor heating thermostat or to the light switch or to its own power. And yes, it's a great little addition. Most people haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't, definitely. On that, can you grab my phone?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. And as soon as we get back upstairs, we're going to talk about, somebody asked a question about when things go wrong, because, yeah, you don't have to pull up your whole floor to rip it all up when things go wrong. This is the thermostats that Rick touched on before, so we'll just get back up to our seat.
Okay. So when things go wrong. So
Thank you.
floor heating is one of those things. Essentially, it's just an electric cable. So nothing can really go wrong unless someone does something a bit silly. Such as during the process when they're laying tiles or the carpet or the screed or even the slab. So every kit comes with a monitor, which is an alarm. So it's attached to the floor heater.
Sorry.
And if something goes wrong during the process, the alarm goes off. It stays connected until your electrician disconnects it and attaches a thermostat. So even when your flooring guy is working, if the siren suddenly goes off, you know where the damage has been.
Okay.
And of course, there are ways to amend the whatever, a cut or whatever you call us, and we come in. Obviously, there's a fee for that, but these can all be fixed. Yep.
Sorry, I was just going to say, someone just said, can you feel the wiring under the carpet if you're walking barefoot or kneeling? No.
Our previous carpet heaters were thicker, and a small minority said they could feel it, but over time it settled into the underlay in the carpet, and that eliminated. But we replaced those with newer carpet heaters where they're so thin you can't feel it at any time, even at the beginning.
Okay.
And I'll bring that with all our floor heaters. It's as if they don't exist except for the heat you feel. So that it doesn't affect any of the tradies. It doesn't affect any of the floor levels, and you can't feel it or anything.
Okay, travertine, would that be like under travertine? Or...
Well, our rule with the bigger tiles, the bigger the tile, the more likely you may want to consider in screed. Not because with big tiles you shouldn't use under tile heating, but there's always a small risk. A tiler could drop a sharp heavy tile on the heater and damage it, or they place it down and to adjust it they pull it up and they could rip it. Now these are very low risks, but I guess the bigger the tile, the slightly higher risk there is. So we say the bigger the tile, the more you may want to consider in screed. If there's no screed layer, it's not a reason not to get under tile. It's just an alternative.
Okay. And it probably just takes a bit longer to heat up because it's
the in-screed.
Yes,
well, but again,
travertine.
but the thicker the tile, remember, the longer it'll retain heat once it's turned off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll just keep going through the list here. If you've got more things that you
fire them at me.
The control panels.
Okay, so there's several types of thermostats. When we're asked to quote, and usually we're not asked for a specific thermostat. So by default, we quote our fully programmable touchscreen thermostat for about $50 less. You can have the previous version, which is a push button, has most of the same functions. But more people go for the one we recommend or we first put forward, or upgrade it for $82 more. There's a Wi-Fi, the same thermostat, but with Wi-Fi capability. And just this week, we've put out a newer one, which has a bigger screen, has not just Wi-Fi capability, but also smart home capability. So it talks with Alexa, and what's the other one? Google
Siri.
Home.
Yeah.
Google Home.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, I $18 more, I think.
Yeah, wow.
So the price differential's not great.
So zones, if you've got a big room,
Mhm.
like your whole living room with polished concrete, carpet, whatever, can you do zones?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we're not given a brief as to how to split things up, we just consider it comparable to light switches. Okay, to the extreme, you could have one light switch for the whole house and save on light switches, but then everything is turned on or everything is turned off. It's the same with floor heating, except the difference is more so because you don't want to spend money heating areas that you're not intending to use. So we strongly recommend every room has its own heat zone and hence its own thermostat. And in large, big areas, if it's kitchen, living room, dining room, maybe split them up into different heat zones. For instance, if you want to use the kitchen usually and dining room only at night and living room only on the weekend, you don't want it all as one heat zone. So when you're using the kitchen, you're also paying to heat the dining room and the living room. It's a waste. It's better to have them split up. And it's a little bit more cost at the beginning because you're paying for extra thermostats and a slightly different heater makeup. But overall, you'll save on running costs. But having said that, if you're always going to want the whole big open area heated always together or always off together, then there's no reason to have it as different heat zones. You might as well heat it together. It's the same as light switches. If you're always going to want everything on or off, you might as well have it all in one light switch.
And it comes down to size, really. If you've got a, so.
But there's no limit to size. So, the bigger the size, obviously we have a limit of heater sizes, but often we do large areas, and it just means combination of heaters for the one heat zone. And right now believe it or not, we're doing a big open area in Orange because they want to protect this new area from frost on the ground. So it's outside, but it's huge, and we just throw as many. We have all the calcs to figure out how many heaters for any size area, and we apply that and connect them to the thermostats as need be.
We touched on running costs before, so we'll get to that in a moment. I just want to ask, so you install it or the tiler or the electrician or who installs?
All the heaters are essentially DIY because it's pretty simple. But of course we offer installation as part of our service if you want to take that up. Alternatively, if you're handy, you could possibly even do it yourself. Often a different tradie offers to do it. And we say we're always the best price for supply items, and we know we're very competitive for installation, but we admit any tradie on site at any time could offer to do it at a little bit less because they're already doing other works for you, and we're more than happy for that to happen. And often we come across new tradie clients that way. They install for their client, and then they love it so much, they see the benefits, and it snowballs. They offer it to all their clients, etc. So it's great free marketing for us as well.
Effects of the integrity of the waterproofing. So we spoke about that downstairs. So the waterproofing goes down and it sits on top of the waterproofing.
Usually. Some occasionally goes above, but there's no effect on the waterproofing.
If you see the product, or when you see it, it's mesh and it's like cable, so it's nothing sharp or hard.
And so I was leading to before, nothing about the floor heating affects anything before or after any of the trades or the floor level. All the trades coming after, whether it's the tiler, the carpet layer, the screeder, the slab guys. All they have to know is there's heating there. Take that little bit extra care when you're doing, but it doesn't change anything anyone has to do, really.
Yeah. Okay. How big are the heaters? Someone said, where are they normally stored? So does that mean
under the floor?
Yes. There's the wiring, which goes essentially through the cables, or the thermostats, which sit somewhere in the room.
So yes, underfloor heating. It's just a heater under the floor, and this is I actually haven't come to. This leads to all the benefits of floor heating compared to alternative forms of heating. Some of them are obvious, but I'm going to go through them now. First of all, it's the only type of heating that heats from the floor, believe it or not. So you don't want heating come from a ceiling or a wall when hot air rises. You want it from the floor. Makes sense. 2, it's the only form of heating that is evenly spread throughout the room. You don't want heating come from one or two spots in a room and then it has to circulate, always inefficiently, always leaving hot spots and cold spots. No, you want evenly distributed heat. 3, floor heating heats the floor as well. A big bonus. People love it. And not only does it heat the floor, and everyone loves the heated floor, but it means you don't have to heat the room as much because you're warm on the floor already. And then you have things like nothing to see, nothing to smell, nothing to hear, nothing in the way, no moving parts, no maintenance requirements. All floor heating does is create the best ambiance at a great price, at the best value add for your house. And I said it before, and I might be biased, but I really don't think there's any downside to putting floor heating in your room, any room. If you're doing flooring, and if you're going to pay for heating anyway, floor heating is an absolute no-brainer. And I tell people, don't think of floor heating as an extra cost. Think of it as an alternative cost if you're going to be spending money on heating anyway.
That's true.
And then I say, don't think of it as a cost at all. Think of it as an investment. As I explained before, the luxury image difference with reasonable cost makes it the best investment.
Okay, so now running costs.
Okay, running costs.
Yep.
Oh, I think I did about how smart the thermostats are, etc.
On your website, you have a bit of a calculation.
Okay, so the running cost calculator, we're happy to share that with anyone. It's on the website already. But basically, it's just a simple spreadsheet where you put in the variables like the watts, which we offer with every heat plan. For every heat zone, we show the watts and the amps and the heater layout and the heater size. So you get the watts, you throw in the type of heater, what's your electricity tariff, hours in the morning, hours at night, even how many days of the year. And you can play with the numbers because it's all a simple spreadsheet. And it pumps out a pretty good estimate of what you can expect as far as running costs. It is a rough estimate because every room, every house, every climate is different. But no one's ever complained to us that the costs are way off. So it's pretty good. And like I said, it is just like the cost of floor heating is less than people expect. The cost of running floor heating is always less than people think.
Temperature is probably, I know I forget what temperature mine should sit on, and every winter I jump on here and go, what should it sit on again?
Well, really, obviously you could set the temperature, you could experiment. What I suggest that people do is when they first get it, start low, and you might be surprised that this is what you like. If you start high, and you like it, you may just leave it like that, but then you're overdoing it. You might have liked it lower. So start low. If you're not happy, maybe the next day turn it up a little. And once you get there, like the floor heating itself, you could set and forget it. You might want to change times occasionally, but
so to keep the costs down, you would just set your timer for less time and keep the costs, keep the temperature moderate. Does that, if someone
again? Obviously everyone wants to save on costs, but it's a matter of how much, I guess. Like I said, it's not that expensive to run per hour, and that's why I encourage everyone, if they want to look at the running costs. It used to be expensive, and for instance, there's hydronic heating out there, which you turn on. A lot of people turn on at the beginning of the year and turn it off at the end. But this is, you have to turn on the whole system to run one room. This is all isolated room by room. You can set the times, experiment. The good thing is it's not on when it's not needed. So once it reaches the temperature, it turns off.
Yeah, okay. Because I don't think mine does that.
Okay.
I got mine before I came across Coldbuster, and before I started the group, everybody knows. So mine doesn't do that. I've got mine set on a timer. But yeah, it would be great if it could turn off when it was warm. Someone's asked how long would it take to heat a lounge room to an ambient temp, and what time would you switch it on to get it warm when you get up?
Okay, so we have rules of thumb, and it really differs in so many ways, house to house, room by room, because the size of room, ceiling height, ventilation, insulation, even which way the windows are facing, things like that. So it could vary greatly. But rough estimates are directly under the floor half hour, in screed an hour, in slab 2 hours. But the great thing, like I said before about the thermostats, you don't have to worry about when to turn it on. All you have to do is know when you want the heat on and at what temperature. And then the thermostat smartly figures out when to turn on. So the guesswork is all gone. And so it not only removes any uncertainty, but it saves a lot on running costs.
It is quick to heat. I know with mine, you turn it on and within probably less than half an hour.
Well, we try to be conservative.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to
it's definitely not a long time.
Yeah.
Wall heating, presumably you could damage the wall heating when installing the towel rail. If someone wasn't aware that it was there,
Well,
they potentially
absolutely,
could.
like floor heating as well. If you and this is I was getting to before about damage. So once so we discussed about the possible of damage during installation, but after installation. So these heaters have a long warranty, 20 years, because essentially nothing can happen to them. They're just electric cables. They're hidden. However, someone could drill a hole willy-nilly for a doorstop or something, and obviously that happens. The floor has to come up in that area, and then we can repair it. But that's yet another great thing about this. No moving parts, no maintenance, which can be quite expensive for other types of heating. The thermostats have 3-year warranties because it's full of electronics, etc. So stuff can happen, but they're easy to get to.
Yeah, exactly. As long as people know they're there, I think that's the.
So some people, you take a photo of where the floor heating is before it's covered.
That's a good idea. How do you know if yours has the room? Is it the rooms, or when it switches off automatically? How do people know? As I said, mine doesn't have that. So how will people know if theirs has that function or feature if someone's existing?
Well, all I can say is all our thermostats.
Yours have that.
You tell it when to turn off and when you don't want it anymore. We do have some manual ones as well where you have to remember to turn it off. Or it'll heat indefinitely, and then you're paying for heat you don't want. But some people prefer that because it's more once in a while, and they are cheaper, of course. There's 2 versions: one that's for the wall, like the other thermostats, and one that's for the DIN rail, which is behind the scenes, where often they're used when there's home automation, and you don't have to spend money on a fancy thermostat with all the bells and whistles, but your home automation will just turn it on and off.
Someone said, how would you recommend installing towel hooks safely if it's running up the wall?
Well, like I said, if you know one thing is, if you know where you're going to put it, you can mark it on the wall, and the floor heater guys will know to stay clear of that, where the hooks are going. If you don't know till after, then you take a photo.
Because the cable is obviously there is a chance of hitting it, but the mesh is everywhere, and it doesn't matter if you hit the mesh. The
mesh doesn't matter.
The cable is not all that, in the scheme of things.
But mark it before.
Yeah.
It's like when we're doing floors, we want everything marked, like gratings and where posts are going, all these things, and we know to stay away from there.
Do you recommend multiple small sections, let's say for an 85 square?
Well, like I said before, unless we're given instruction, we would zone it up how we would see it being used. We feel the more heat zones, the better. Granted, it does increase the cost at the beginning, but not by much. We're talking hundreds of dollars. But at the end, you'll have more flexibility in reducing running costs ongoing forever, because you don't have to heat big areas all at one time.
Okay, so so when you come out and quote, that's probably the difference and the benefit in having you come directly versus them, or them dealing with you directly instead of going by their electrician or the tiler to.
Well, we're happy to do it anyway. We want whatever the client wants in that regard. We're happy to do, and we're happy to answer any questions either way.
So the thermostat, is the thermostat in the controller or under the tiles? I thought the thermostat was
the thermostat is the controller.
Yes.
What goes under the tiles is the floor sensor. So all the thermostats have 2 connections from the floor. One is the heater itself, the cold tail we call it, is a connection to the thermostat, and the other is the floor sensor. So the thermostats can measure the temperature by the floor or from the air. So you can set it either way. And Yeah.
Okay, they were on the desk downstairs. Was that the thermostats?
Well, there's two versions of the thermostats.
Can I bring them up to show
Yeah,
people?
by all means.
Yeah, if you just
You want, okay.
yeah, you. If is there anything else that you can?
Well, let me try to go to be okay.
I've got there a bit more left that you may not have covered off.
How did you get so good looking? No, I'm not going to answer that one. Okay. Okay, the quote process. Well, really all we need is a few bits of information. One is the plans or drawings. They can be professional plans so we can scale them up as to the measurements on the plans, or they could even be rough sketches, as long as we have dimensions of the rooms and we want to know where the permanent fixtures are, because we don't want to waste your money heating under anything permanent. We do suggest, in most cases, heating under any furniture that can be moved, mainly because even if there's no intention in the first few years, you don't know what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years. If that room is going to be something completely different and furniture moved around, you don't want any cold spots that you can't get to. And again, this difference in cost of heater sizes is very low, so it's always better to be safe than sorry. So we have different rules of thumb. We don't heat right against walls because that's a waste of your money. We don't heat under permanent fixtures, etc. So we just need those details. And then, of course, we have to know what type of floor heating. And the last thing is just when you need to quote back by, because we always strive to get it to you on time. So we need to know when you need it back by, so we're not late. That's pretty much the quoting process. Very rarely, if ever, do we have to come to site to quote up, and that's one of the ways we keep our prices so low. We need the heat plans. That's it. And as far as easy to amend, someone asked. So yes, we're happy to do version after version. Often, I think our record is 9 versions, so we don't mind making changes after changes because you only have one chance. Once your floors are down, you can't amend it anymore. So we want to get it right for you, and we have no problem making amendments. Someone asked about heating in the showers. Yes, you can. The caveat is you have to make sure the builder is happy to deal with any waterproofing issues between the shower and the rest of the bathroom. But there's several reasons why you may want to consider it in the shower. One, it heats the shower floor as well. Of course, that's a benefit. 2, remember, the amount of heating we put in the bathroom is not just to heat the floor, but it's to provide enough heat for the whole room. So if we're heating in the shower, that's more heat for the whole room. And finally, a lot of people tell us that it helps dry the shower area out and reduces mold and mildew. So and again, the 4th reason is that cost differential. Going up a size or 2 in heater sizes is relatively very low cost. So I suggest do it if there's no issue with waterproofing.
And you'll save on bath mats and washing, because I haven't had a wet bath mat. I can't even remember what it was like to have a wet bath mat. I haven't had a wet bath mat in years.
We actually do supply heaters for bathrooms in northern Queensland.
Oh.
Floor heating in northern Queensland because they like the way it dries out the rooms.
Yeah. Australian, or is it an Australian-made product? Where is the product made?
Okay, so our heaters are made in China by a manufacturing partner of ours. They are top-notch. They supply to top retailers in the States. And I've been to the factory and deal with these guys all the time, and they're the highest of professionals, and I couldn't be happier. And that's why we put our brand on it. The thermostats, almost all of them are from Denmark. We do have one from China, but at the end of the day, we wouldn't take anything on that wasn't of top quality.
And it's got the warranty tobacco.
Oh yes, the high warranty.
Yeah.
The most important part is all the profits are kept in Australia. We're fully Australian, although I'm Canadian born. We're fully Australian. Everyone we employ is Australian. All the profits stay here.
Northern Beaches.
We own it all.
Yeah. Here's the. Did you want to show the?
Okay, so our let's go with this one. Where's the
that
other
one? Sorry.
So this is the one we sort of quote when we don't want to presume everyone wants the more expensive one. So we quote this one. It's not on at the moment, but basically, like I said, it's touchscreen. Has all the timer and programming and reporting you need. And I think it retails at like $242. And that's our default one. If you want to spend $50 less, it's similar looking, but it's push button.
Oh, yeah.
And that's most of the same function. If you want to, $82 more, I think it's the same version, but with Wi-Fi. And then if you want something like $18 more than the Wi-Fi version, is the bigger screen one. This bigger screen one with additional features such as it can talk to Alexa and Google Home.
And then, yeah, that mine just sits in my vanity, so that doesn't
Yeah.
even have to
Well,
be seen
yeah.
or visible
No,
or,
wherever you like. Some people like it with the light switch, fully visible. Others want it hidden.
yeah.
You can even have it in another room. All you need is a longer floor sensor. Or your electrician can extend the floor sensor, not an issue. And like I said, some don't even have one on the wall. They have it on the DIN rail,
Yeah.
and it's just a simple manual one,
And
totally hidden.
that's right.
So
That's
whatever
a
your
good point.
preference.
Actually, I've got a separate toilet. So in our ensuite, we've got the thermostat or the controller in there, and then that runs the ensuite and the WC.
Yeah,
or
so
separate
often we have
toilet.
a WC next to,
Yeah.
and so if we put the thermostat on an adjoining wall,
Yeah.
and we connect both heaters to it in the wall.
Yeah, so 3 rooms, 2 thermostats is what I've got. Yeah, if anyone's else has got any other questions, you can type them up now, because I think that we've covered a lot of the information that's come through. So I hope it's all been helpful. There is as I said, every time this is posted, I should probably go on here so you can see me. Every time this is posted in the group, it always brings up a lot of questions and a lot of positive comments about it. So I hope that this has helped you realise that even though we say it is a luxury item, it's definitely not luxury cost-wise. So I hope that this has answered a lot of your questions. And there is, in the file section of the group, Rick spent a lot of time answering from a recent post, maybe a month or 6 weeks ago or so. There was a lot of questions on that. So all those questions went back to Rick, and he's answered them all in that document on there. So if there's anything, you can watch this session back, or if there's anything that that you're not sure of, go back and reference that Q&A, because that's helpful, or feel free to comment again or ask in the group or contact Coldbuster directly, because they're just, as I said, down here in Cromer. Family is here. I've dealt with Rick's daughter and wife and everything, so it's great to have a local business that's here and always willing to thank you for all the comments, guys. It looks like there's no more questions. So thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.